I find it very interesting how the government and the organisations that one is supposed to connect to in order to deal with the government are almost impossible to contact. And imagine a nation where calling for help feels like shouting into a void. Well, welcome to the world of HMRC and to the world of the Home Office. And these are public service institutions that appear to have abandoned meaningful interaction with the public that they serve. The shocking statistics are there for everyone to see. Nearly 44,000 callers were cut off after waiting over an hour in the last year, 6 times more than in the prior year. And the average wait times for dealing with HMRC is 23 minutes. The policy implications of this: the PAC report accuses HMRC of degrading its own services as part of its policy to nudge people online, and Jim Hara's rebuttal is disingenuous. His claim that wait times are down is simply nonsensical, untrue. It's a lie. It ignores the glaring failures that are being daily and anecdotally demonstrated. The poor service of the HMRC is one thing, but the non-existent service of the Home Office is quite another. There is no Home Office phone support, absolutely none. Eventually, if you try to call the Home Office, you are passed on to, let's say, the Passport Office, which isn't the Passport Office. It's a private company that will only deal with precise passport applications. Anything else has to be done by email, and the Home Office, I'm now told, has 40 days liberty with which to answer or respond to emails or post. In my case, it can't even do it in that. And there's no accountability. It simply responds in its own time without any form of apology or explanation. The level of arrogance and the level of dismissal of its core public service is staggering. And this is how we run our country. And anytime you call one of these agencies, you're told that you have to be polite, that people are there to help you. They're not. They're there to order you around. They're there to bully you. And they themselves may be perfectly equitable and charming, but the system that they represent is a bully. And the over-reliance on apps and advice lines that lack accountability. Even if you get a name, it's not necessarily correct. We don't have to give you a name is another line that they take. The human cost here, the applicants navigating life-altering visa or immigration issues reduced to automated responses and endless digital loops. Not unlike calling Avanti. Today, I was up in London and I couldn't get a return ticket because the Avanti ticket system wasn't working properly. I bought a ticket last night and found this morning that it hadn't processed. So I bought it again today, early this morning, about 4 o'clock in the morning, and found that I couldn't buy a return, and nor could I book a seat. So I bought one way and thought myself lucky. And on my return journey, I went to the booking office at Euston and I bought the next quick train, which was a Midlands train. Not terribly pleasant, but I was going to sit on the carriage and listen to Miriam Margolyes reading Bleak House. But that wasn't how it turned out. The information on the information board was very sluggish, and when it came up, I must have misread it, I don't know, but I went to the platform which I thought was correct. Now, there were two trains going at almost the same time, one with West Midlands and the other one with Avanti. Avanti was slightly more expensive. I hadn't booked the Avanti one because it wasn't going to get there first. And it was as simple as that. I was kept in queue for quite a long time. By the time the person stamping the tickets had got to me, he established that the ticket I'd got was for the other line. And I went off and slightly uncertain where to go. And very much aware that I was running out of time, because I knew what time my train was booked. It was at 46. And the other train incidentally went at 48. I found a train. I was directed to a train, and I was about to get on it, and I realised that train was the wrong train. That was a stopping train, and in fact I had a very specific ticket for the 46 train. So I went back to the Avanti train. I thought, I don't know what to do now. I just need to buy another ticket. I might as well buy an Avanti ticket at extreme cost. So I asked for another ticket, and I asked the guard man why he didn't point me to the correct platform when he knew that I was clearly in the wrong place. He said, "Well, you didn't ask." He was quite surly. He directed me to another person who was very, very slow at what he was doing to give me another ticket. My phone was dying, and he wanted he wanted proof of a senior ticket thing, so I could get a slight reduction. I showed it to him, and I put it back in my pocket, switched it off, and he said, "What's that? What saving ticket have you got?" I said, "I've just shown you." I said, "Senior." And he was quite surly. His name was Dave. And when I pointed out that he was actually very rude, he said he wanted to turn on his camera. He turned on his camera, told me that I was rude, and this isn't the way to deal with customers, particularly a customer who's actually bought a second ticket. And this morning, as I got off the train, the Avanti train, I was given a questionnaire to know how well they'd done. They'd done appallingly. If I have choice, I won't travel by Avanti again. And I remember why I called him rude. I asked him for the customer complaints number, and he wouldn't give it to me. So I then pointed out he was rude. This is the level of service that you find in the train station. This is the level of service that you find in HMRC. And I suppose if you could ever get through to the Home Office, if the Home Office were ever to be available, this would be the level of service that you've got there as well. This is how we are being led. This is how people are shown to deal with customers, to deal with the public, to have contempt for them. So I don't particularly think the Avanti staff were badly behaved. In fact, when I got to the train, I asked one of the Avanti staff there for the customer complaints number, and she gave it to me. Only too happy to give it to me. The philosophical irony here is that institutions meant to serve the public now serve themselves. And this digital-first policy is less about modernisation and more about evasion, evading scrutiny, evading complaints, evading responsibility, evading service, evading care. And the £5 billion in uncollectible tax debts, the failure to prosecute tax-related offences, this is a result of that incompetence. So while cutting off taxpayers, HMRC simultaneously allows tax dodgers to flourish. and then wonders why this is happening. HMRC's fake apologies, which came out today, and the rhetorical reassurances, the HMRC, Sir Geoffrey Clifton Brown MP says HMRC is excavating its way to new lows. Of course it is. But it's not unusual in the level of service that we are parading to the public at the moment in Britain. This is standard. HMRC isn't doing anything unusual here. HMRC is behaving like Avanti, like the Home Office, like your telephone company, like your bank. There's a wider distrust in public institutions, precisely exacerbated by the failure of service, by the failure of basic care and accountability. When the public service, or when public service in general becomes public frustration, we have to ask, are all these institutions designed to serve us or to suppress us? Are they designed to connect or to control? And there comes a point where we have to say we need bolder leadership, we need accountability to restore trust, to restore functionality to the services which are there for the public. Because if I had any choice, I wouldn't be using HMRC, I wouldn't be using the Home Office, I wouldn't be using the train, I wouldn't be using the bank. But there comes a point when there's nothing I can use. Because every single time you have to interface with these officials, it's a misery and you want to bang your head against the floor. It's a disgrace. And it doesn't cost much to provide some help. The starting point for service at every member of the public is a cheat, is a bad position to be in. Because in the end, if you treat everybody with such contempt, that's the way people will behave. They will behave with distrust. They will behave with corresponding evasion. And I can't imagine this is pleasant. If you are kind to people, the least you can expect is kindness back. But if you treat people with contempt, in the end, that's what you get back. That's what you get back. And we are rapidly approaching the point where this is the sort of society that is very nasty to live in. I've lived in these societies before, by the way. So I think I know what I'm speaking about. I remember living at the very worst time in Greece. I remember living in Moscow. Particularly, those two examples stick in my mind in a big way. And it was unpleasant interfacing with any form of official. Indeed, even going to the shops was unpleasant. Now you go to Greece, it's a delight. I have no idea what it's like in Moscow. I think certainly my Russian friends tell me that it's even worse. But Ukraine, in contrast, has got delightful. You drop a passport, you drop a phone on the pavement, it's picked up and handed into the police station. They call you. You know, what is that? That is the sort of care. That is the sort a bomb drops, missile drops, and they're busy sweeping the streets within 20 minutes. This is care.